Hey guys, Anthony, 4Before Diesel. In this video, our aim is to provide information in relation to something really basic. Checking your oil level and how much oil these engines should burn or use. Okay, so we're looking at a 1KD FTV diesel engine. You know it well. Now, the question that I was asked by someone this morning, and it's been asked before, not much. They don't usually use oil. We'll get to that. But the question that was asked is, is this normal? How much oil should it use? I'm a bit concerned, this sort of thing. So I thought I'll put the information out there for everybody so you know what's normal and what's not. Now, obviously manufacturers have specifications and amounts of oil that for use is okay, and it could be something along the lines of a litre every 5,000 Ks or something like that, they might say. And I'd suggest that, well, while that's not bad, a litre every 5,000, it's not ideal. It's not ideal for the environment, it's not ideal for the oil, and it's not ideal because engines don't need to use oil at all. When I say at all, it's the 99% thing. Basically, you're looking at the engines that don't use oil, okay? They don't use oil. That's a pretty blanket statement, obviously, but they don't use oil. We've owned different Prados, different engines, even the 1KZs before these, they don't use oil, okay? If you're using oil, you've got a problem, okay? Now, depending how much it is, how much of a problem it is, but they don't use oil. Now, when I say they don't use oil, obviously there's a small amount that goes out through the crankcase ventilation system, or PCV system, whatever you want to call it. There's a small amount of oil that goes out that way, and it will depend how old your engine is, what oil you're using. There's a few varying factors, but generally they don't use oil. So basically none is the answer. You can set the oil level correctly on one of these, which we're about to go through, and you can check it before you drop it out and change it 10,000 Ks later, and it's pretty well the same. Might have used 50 mil, I don't know, 100 mil tops, something around there is what I would imagine is in the normal range, what we see. So not based on what the manufacturer said, but what we see. So the way we see it is, if the engines generally don't use oil, and you've got one using oil, you've got a problem. If they want to say, oh, that's fine, that's within specification, well, that's the problem with specification. We rather base our information on actual experiences of what we see from a number of these engines. They don't use oil. So I had someone this morning, I think he said he used either side of about 1.5 litres in 5,000 Ks, was it 4 or 5? Somewhere around there anyway, which is more than what it would normally use. I said, look, you've got to be sure about these things. So change the oil again, make sure you set the level right, and that's where this video came into mind, not just the answer to how much oil do they use, but what is the correct way to set the oil level on these. It's pretty simple setting oil levels, isn't it, right? Well, yes and no. You've got to take a few things into account, and these are those things. Now, the manufacturer procedure for checking the oil level on this is to pull the dipstick, right? On a Prado, the dipstick is obviously down at this side. On the Hilux, it's on the other side. Pull the dipstick, and after 5 minutes after you switch it off. So 5 minutes after you switched it off, pull the dipstick out, obviously wipe it clean so you can see what's going on. You may not be able to see that. Let's just go through a little bit more info. Every dipstick's usually got some marks on it, high, low, or a hashed out area, low, full, LF, whatever, something along those lines. You can work it out. This one's got 2 dots. So the range is it's meant to be between the 2 dots. So when they tell you it needs, I don't know, 6.9 litres or whatever in the book, is that after you've drained it with hot oil or cold oil? Is that when you switch it off straight away within a minute, or is it after 5 minutes, or is it after 10 minutes, or is it the next morning? So there's a whole lot of variables to it. So this engine has had the engine switched off approximately 5 minutes ago now. The coolant temperature was only in the mid-40s. So the engine oil is warm. I'd suggest, you're not going to see that. I'm just checking the oil anyway while we're at it. I would suggest that you're not going to... Look, basically the things you've got to take into account. If the engine oil is cold, so if you do it on a cold engine, it's going to be quite thick compared to when it's hot. So it's going to take longer for that oil to drain down again. So if you I've got to move the car onto flat ground to get the right reading. That's great. You got to have it on flat ground. As you move it, the engine's running 20 seconds, you switch it off. All the oil's just been pumped, it's all up on the head, it's still running down, it's going to take some time, and it's not going to come down the same as if it was a hot engine switched off, if you know what I mean. It'll get there eventually. It could take an hour or two, you know what I mean? Maybe there's some going to stay places where it wouldn't normally when it's thinner, so we don't want it cold, okay? Now, and the same goes for if it's really hot. If you've just come back from a 2000k trip and pulled in your driveway, parked it on flat ground, switch it off, the oil's going to get down there real quick. It's going to be red hot. You don't change your oil when it's like that either. It's pretty dangerous. It's very hot, so beware of that. Changing oil and setting oil level, I think mid-temp, if you know what I mean, when it's warm, sort of, you know, if the coolant's around 40, 50 degrees. So if you come home, switch it off, let it cool down for half an hour, then go and run the engine and then switch it off, wait 5 minutes. If your engine's cold in the morning, not ideal. If it's not winter, you could drive it for 5 minutes, about a 5-minute drive, but that would be a waste of fuel driving on purpose, so I don't suggest you do that. I just want to give you the picture of what the right oil level would be, because it can vary, you know, easily 100 mil either way, couldn't it, or more, which isn't a big deal, but people often, I see on some Facebook groups, people want to discuss and sometimes trying to argue a little bit about how much oil they take, and there's lots of different answers. So to give you the right answer, that's what this is all about. There's a reason they make 7-litre bottles now. I think they consider of the Prado owners. Look, I put 7 litres in them, okay? So we drain them from warm, we give them a good drain, and look, you can sit there all day with the plug out. It's not going to make much difference once again. We put 7 litres in, and we wear the Dolmio grin. No, we put 7 litres in, and usually that works out pretty good, okay? So 7 litres is my answer. Sometimes you've got to add a little bit more, maybe even 7.1, 7.2. So I'd rather be, this is the thing when they give you the oil level, did they say when they give you that amount that's going to bring it up to the top dot? Remember the 2 dots on the dipstick? They didn't say it was going to be at the top dot. They said 6.9 litres. Maybe they want it between the dots. Down at the bottom dot, they're not worried about it. It's not panic stations, but they don't want it to go over the top dot either. So beware, don't be overfilling it either, because that can cause excessive crankcase pressure and put pressure on seals and other things, right? So certainly don't do that. And while we're at it, we'll just say, I don't know what we're going to call this video, but we've got to call it something and hopefully get some people so that they get their information, because sometimes people think, you know, the other day the neighbour with a lawnmower, she says, you know, I'm going to cut the grass, you know, can you help me get this mower going? Yeah, no worries, I'm coming over to help out and get the mower going. There's a story behind that, I'll quickly tell you, but the point is, she goes, oh, okay, so I've put fuel in it. She says, oh, we've got to put oil in it. So I explained to her it's a 4-stroke, not a 2-stroke, so please never put any oil in the fuel. So then but I explained how, you know, the oil goes in the engine and that. But she goes, yeah, well, that's what she's going to do, pour it in the engine, you know. So she sort of already knew that, maybe, but I don't know, because anyway, it was 2-stroke oil. But anyway, so I explained the difference, and then I said, look, don't just add oil. And this is the problem some people do. What you do, you take your car to get it serviced twice a year, every 6 months, or 10,000 Ks is the absolute minimum. 6 months or 10,000 Ks, whichever comes first. If you've done 10,000 in a year, you needed to take it in 6 months. You don't need to do the full service. You can just do an oil change if you like, okay? That's another story. But my point is, you don't, what's my point? What am I trying to say? You don't just add oil. Don't come out to your vehicle, pop the bonnet and go, oh, I'm going to put some oil in and take the cap off here and pour oil in there. You're going to overfill it. It's happened heaps of times where people have put oil in cars, they're unaware of the situation. It's a wet sump, the oil's in there, once it's at the right level, that's it. You've got to use the dipstick. Generally things under engine bays are yellow. Ford did this thing 20 years ago where they made everything yellow. A lot of manufacturers have got yellow things. Notice under the bonnet of a Toyota there's not many yellow things. All they really want you to do is pull the dipstick. You can see the coolant in the tank there. There's not much else to see. They don't leak, they don't have problems. Great cars. Anyway, so the lawnmower, I think it was quite funny actually. So I'll give it a few pulls. It's a Briggs & Stratton, you know, I worked on those before back in the day, but very reliable engine. They have a bit of an issue with the carby. Sometimes there's a gasket in there that stretches, and that's another story. I don't want to go into it too much, but a few pulls and it doesn't start, and I go, here we go. So I take the cap off the fuel, have a look in there, and what do you see on the bottom of the tank? All this water and dirt floating in there, and I'm going, oh my God, you know, hand over face. But anyway, so quickly, you know, there she is. She's a dressmaker. So I said, have you got any rags? She goes, yep. So I tip the fuel out. I get the rags. stick them in the tank, clean rags, stick it in the, this is, you know, you're not going to do this with your diesel, right? Backyard mechanics, stick the rags in the tank, clean it out, you know, just with a finger, without even taking the tank off the mower. I put the fresh fuel in, she's thinking, oh, here we go, this isn't going to work. Within 3 minutes, tank's cleaned out, tank's filled up, prime it up, 3 pumps, a few pulls, I think it maybe only took 2 or 3, bada bing, bada boom. She's a happy lawnmower. Anyway, the point is, understand 2-stroke and 4-stroke, understand the difference, have a Google if you like, maybe we'll get to that one day, but I'm sure it's out there. Don't just add oil, check your oil level, change it every 6 months, that's the longest I want it in there. The best way to store an engine if you're going to leave it sitting around for prolonged time is to leave it with clean oil in it. So you change the oil before you do that. And I'll tell you, the best thing you can do is, before you leave it stored, is run the engine cold. You know how we said about not, you know, think about it, right? We said don't do that because what happens, the oil stays up there at sticker. Now, if you come home with a really hot engine and switch it off and park it for 2 months, most of the oil's going to drain off. Now, it's got this stuff in it called, what's in it? Zinc, right? Zinc is what sticks to the engine parts to protect it on startup, okay? So that's why we like the pen right, how it says full zinc and that. It's probably got more zinc. We don't really know the stats on that off the top of our head, but that's the deal. Zinc, you know, Magnetech, how they talk about magnets. There's no magnets or funny, it's zinc, right? Zinc is what it is. If the engine's cold and you just start it and stop it, it's going to be thicker, so hopefully it might leave more of a coating for when you come back in 2 months and you hit the key, bada bing, bada boom, no problem, you know. Most of your engine wear happens at startup at cold starts, which is why engines that have done high Ks and highway Ks are much preferred over vehicles that have been sitting around for 10 or 15 years that have got low Ks, 100,000 Ks. Okay, it might sound good, low Ks, but it's not all about the Ks, it's about the age. Same as the oil. With the oil, 6 months or 10,000 Ks, whichever comes first. Now, when I say that, I'm giving that as minimums. I'd prefer you do your oil every 5,000 Ks. I'd prefer that. And you know, if you're worried about wasting oil because you reckon it's pretty clean, give it to your mate. Okay, someone that can't afford oil, they can put it in their engine. Guess what? Kill 2 birds with 1 stone. Happy days, right? Anyway, I don't like oil in too long. If I'm going to leave an engine sitting, clean oils into it. Generally, the same oil is not going to be in the engine for more than a few months. 5,000 Ks for me is probably, yeah, not even a few months, do you know what I mean? So you got to get out there. The Prados, that's what they're for, trips. Get out and see things, get out and do things, live your life, keep it simple. Unfortunately, at the moment, you know, you're limited, the overseas travel thing. That probably should have stopped months ago, but anyway, that's another story, guys. Hope everyone's keeping well. Stay calm. It's all good. Just relax. You know, the coronavirus thing, don't worry about it. Just do what you got to do. I think, you know, what people need to do as much as they can, keep to themselves. But look, I think people that are fit and healthy should probably go out and support the businesses and, you know, do what they've got to do, the usual sort of thing. All the people that are at risk, they're the ones that should be probably self-quarantining for their own good, and the rest of us, we can either have it or not have it, we'll survive it or not or whatever, then there's going to be a less of a problem. So there you go, there's my idea. The kids are going they're all at school, thousands in each school, whatever, that's apparently not an event, but anyway, so they're all, if anyone's got it, they've given it to their kids are at school, they're spreading it to each other, it's going to go off, okay? But don't worry about it, because it's not going to hurt the kids or us. It's mainly the more elderly or the people with low immune. You already know that. You've read all this, you know, it's all over the place, all over Facebook and ABC and the news, and a lot of people and places got it wrong. Careful what you read, but the point is stay calm. There's heaps of food. Stop going shopping. Every time you go there, that's where you're just sharing the love anyway. The problem is those elderly people, we don't really want them going in the supermarket. It'd be better if someone else could do, here's the shopping list. You know, the online shopping's the best thing for them really, so we need to bring that back. I've heard some of it's been cancelled because those online deliveries, they're picked out of stores. So if you go in and clean the store out, they can't do online deliveries to deliver to those people that need it. So, you know, please use your brain. We're meant to stick together in situations like this. Stick together, help each other out, not just go all selfish and behave, you know. Some animals behave better than this, you know, inconsiderate, selfish. So just have a think about it. You've got plenty of food in your cupboard. Before you went shopping, you probably had enough to survive a month, if not many months. You know, most people's cupboards, I tell you what, it's crazy. You're not going to die of hunger or whatever. There's food everywhere. There's plenty more coming. The only reason it's not there is because of the people that panicked and went and just keep going buying everything. And the worst part about it is spreading the disease. So do your own thing, particularly if you're at risk. Everybody else, I think business as usual at the moment. Let's see what happens. Anyway, the authorities, the government, They've supposedly got all the right advice, so just listen and do what they say. I'm just saying, stay calm. That's my take on it. I'm not going to tell you whether I think schools should be shut or not. I'm going to tell you a little bit. There you go. So they want everyone to go to school so that everybody can stay at work, and nurses, hospital stuff, and all that. Problem is, it's not a big problem in hospitals at the moment, right? So it wouldn't matter if there was a few people off, and by doing so, you're going to reduce the spread of that disease sooner. But by sending everyone to school, they're going to bring it home to their parents. Those staff are then going to get sick and not be able to go to work when they're needed most. And the reason they're needed most is because everybody's still at school. Don't get me wrong, it's not just schools, it's everything. But look, it's what it is. Whatever, it's a big deal, it's not a big deal. Relax, keep to yourself a little bit. Keep clean, wash your hands, hygiene, have a shower, wash your hands, keep clean, go for a swim. Chlorinated pool, 100% sanitised. You are clean. Anyway, guys, good luck with it all. We'll just keep doing what we're doing. I think some people have panicked, brought injectors and stuff like that. Injector kits have been flying out the door this week. I think everybody's going to stay home and do their injectors. So I'll warn you again, we're possibly going to, be closed for a little while as well. So if there's something you want, I'd say get onto it right now, this week, as soon as you see the video. School holidays will definitely be taking a break. Now, don't get me wrong, we can supply parts to you at just about all times, but it's much easier if I do it myself. If you want it done properly, if you want it done right, no mistakes, do it yourself. Well, that's me, and that's how we roll. So I'm warning you, if you want me to do it to make sure it's all 100% the way it's been for years, everything's there, nothing's missing, you got the right parts, bada bing, bada boom style, you need to send me a text message now. That's how people that are asking, how do I purchase parts off you? If you're overseas, unfortunately, I'm unable to help you. Please, I hope you understand. It's a case of there's only one of me, and that's the way it's staying, okay? So I'm already struggling to service all the people Australia-wide, but we get the job done, and we want to keep the service level up there, which everybody keeps telling me it's top-notch and all that. So that's good. We'll keep it that way. And for that reason, I'd love to be able to supply the whole world, but unfortunately not. It's not happening at the moment, but like always, keep in touch, make sure you subscribe, keep watching the videos, because you never know, things change. Just like, for example, while we're at it, I'll just mention, for years I've said, look, we don't do engines. I'm busy, we don't do engines. I can't afford to have a bay there. But look, we're also, as we have been over recent times, working on building up our network of what we call 4x4 diesel workshop partners, okay? So we certainly can help you arrange a replacement engine if you've got a cracked piston, or if you've driven it through a bog hole and got water in your intake water ingress, or you've let it roll backwards down the boat ramp and the engine's full of water, whatever, these sorts of things. Whatever the case happens and you need an engine, we can sort out just about anything for you because of the help of our 4x4 diesel workshop partners. So especially if you're in Victoria, certainly contact me if you're in need of an engine. We only do brand new genuine engines because we believe that's the way to go. You can't beat it value for money, having brand new top to bottom, built in Japan, quality with the injectors already in there, okay? It's an awesome value package. If you've that unfortunate, if you've done the right thing and you've put your injectors in and you're in the cracked piston fund and that sort of thing, if you don't know about that, search in the VIP group, search our YouTube channel here, 4x4 Diesel, search cracked piston fund, cracked piston insurance, things like that. We slangly use it as call it a warranty or insurance or whatever. It's just a fund of like-minded people that are happy to donate to that fund. We've got a separate account sitting there, and it's purely just so that we can use that to replace engines for worst case scenario, which hasn't happened yet, where we haven't been able to get it covered other under warranties and insurances. So happy to help. There's not going to be many of those, so I've decided that there's not many of them. We're happy to help out and make sure you get the job done right, because that's what you want, rather than send you away somewhere else and end up with some dodgy rebuild or something. Alright guys, like usual, thanks for watching. I hope you found it informative. It was mainly about setting, checking the oil level, how much it should burn. We've definitely covered that with a whole heap of awesome information tacked on the end. And don't I need a drink of water. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. See ya.